Well, what we're going to do today is I'm going to talk about what is Google AdWords, because there's a lot of, Google AdWords is it's paid search by Google, but there's a lot to it. Now, you can get really deep into it. It can be really complex and can take you a lot of time. There's companies out there that spend millions of dollars every year on paid search with Google. There's other companies out there that their whole job is to help other companies with paid search. So this is it can be very complicated. So I'm going to make it easy today. I'm going to share with everyone what I did, how I got started, and give you some tips on how to use Google AdWords for yourself so that you can increase your business and bring in some new clients.
That's what I really like about this is when people graduate from their certification course, they got to make that change from classroom to clients. And of course, you got to have some clients to do that, and you got to have a website to do that. And you can, if you know what you're doing with Google AdWords, you can turn on the spigot of clients. So please go ahead and roll on into it. Are you going to explain a little bit about exactly what AdWords is as compared to regular search results?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
because AdWords is paid search. So when you go to Google, we're talking about Google here. You go to google.com. So first of all, Google still has 67% of the entire search market. Okay, they're still the leader. Combined, Yahoo and Bing combined still only represent about 25%, I think. So Google is still the master of search. Okay, so you go to Google, you type in a search term, you press enter, and you get some results on your page. Now, the paid search is everything across the top. You'll see a little yellow box and it says ad next to it. Everything along the side, and there's some things on the bottom too. Now, you don't always see paid search on every single page. It depends on what you're looking for, but you often will. Now, the other type of search results that you'll see on your page are called organic search results. Okay, those are natural search results. You still want that, okay? Actually, that is extremely important. So you want your website to appear in the top, as number one spot if you can for search results, especially the terms that you care about, right? If you're trying to be the, hypnotist in a particular location, or if you're trying to, if you want to be the best hypnotist that deals with a particular area or issue, for example, you want to appear at the very top, and that is organic search, and you increase your organic search ranking, so ranking number one being the best, right? It shows at the very top, by using something called search engine optimization. And people have been doing that for a long time, and that's also that could be a topic Cal, you and I could talk about many episodes. I'm sure that you've heard of search engine optimization before, right?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, as you're doing this, I just typed in hypnosis, and then for my town, and I come up number 1, number 2, number 3, 5, 7, 9. Yeah, I'm doing something right there.
Very good. And that's really interesting that you point that out. I was going to mention this later, but since you did, I'm going to mention it now. The cool thing about Google search with AdWords, one of the reasons why I really wanted to use it was because you can localize it. So for me, it was really inexpensive to just say, I want to reach a target market of Bellingham, Whatcom County, kind of like my surrounding area, right? Within, let's say 60 miles. And so that is who my target market is. I'm not going to see people where you're at, Cal, right? They're not going to come all the way up here. And so that's one really great thing, and it made it inexpensive for me. So if you type in hypnosis where you're sitting in Tustin, you'll get a different result than what I will see sitting here in Bellingham.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things is, however, if you do a really good job of getting results for clients, but first you got to get the first clients, but then it starts working by referral, and people will fly past a dozen, 100, even 1,000 other hypnotists to get to you. But it all starts off with getting that steady flow of clients through paid advertising of one kind or another, right?
Right. You got to get somebody to come in your door the first day, right? And that is, I used Google AdWords to get my first client. I did. And I think probably my first couple clients used Google AdWords. Of course, I asked them, all my clients know, how'd you hear about me? And I have things set up so that I know when people are coming to my website that's using Google Analytics. You want to make sure that is set up. So Cal, I did want to ask you how you got your first client because I'm curious.
Oh, well, it was back in the day in 1996 when I went full time, and we got our first clients through the Yellow Pages. But the Yellow Pages is pretty much dead, except for in some very small towns and with some particular populations. Like if you're serving the elderly, some of the elderly will still want to use the Yellow Pages as opposed to going to the internet. By the way, what's so important about Google is that Google is where people go to find solutions to their problems. They might be at work or whatever and they got something bother them. They're going to go to Solution Central, which is Google. And that's why you need to be on Google as opposed to like Facebook. We're going to probably get to Facebook an episode or two down the road. But people go to Facebook to socialize and have fun and stuff like that. But they go to Google to find answers to problems, right?
That's right. And Google, when people go to Google, they're looking for something right there, right then. Okay. Sometimes on Facebook, people are going to socialize. Now, they might see something about your company there, but maybe they're not interested at the moment, right? They're right in the middle of chatting with their friends. When they go to Google and they search for hypnosis or they search for lose weight or stop smoking or whatever it is that they're searching for, and your company, your ad, your website comes up, they're ready to call you right there. They're thinking about it, right? So that's where you want to be.
That's right. They call up with a credit card in their hand.
That's right. Well, I want to mention another really important aspect of Google AdWords that is important to understand. So the primary model for Google AdWords is pay per click. Okay, so it's the acronym PPC is what most people, you'll see that written down. So that's what that stands for. And that means that you only pay when somebody actually clicks on it. Okay, so now another term that I want to share so that we're kind of using the same vocabulary is impressions. Okay, so when your ad is displayed, when somebody searches for something, uses a particular search term, your ad is displayed, it's called an impression. And then when somebody clicks on it, okay, then that is when you're charged. And then that is actually how you can calculate what's called your click-through rate. So number of impressions, you'll have your number of impressions and then how many people click on it, right? And so that's one really nice thing because you're not actually paying for anything until somebody clicks on it, which is a very good point to bring up because guess what? When they click on it, they're going to go to your website. So you better have your website up and ready to go, right, Cal?
Absolutely. Mine's been up and ready to go since 1996.
Wow. That's been a long time. Yeah, you've probably made some changes to your website then.
Oh yes. Constantly tweaking. Well, now I have several websites. So people say, "Oh, I learned about you on your website." I have to find out which website that is, or we can use the Google. What's that tool you were talking about before, where we can track where our clicks came from?
Yeah, that's analytics.
Analytics. That's right.
Yep. Good.
Okay, proceed.
What was that?
Proceed.
Okay, so the other reason that I like Google AdWords is because it's really easy to get started. So when I was ready to go and I had my website ready, I put an ad out there, and you can write it yourself. Okay, it's really easy. They don't really give you that much space, so you have to be pretty particular in the words that you use. But you can have an ad created in probably 5 minutes. Okay, you choose the landing page where it goes back to your website. And then you press, we're going to go into this in a little more detail in the next session, but when you are ready to save it, in less than 24 hours, your ad can be out there on the internet. And sometimes it can be even faster than that. It can be immediate. It depends on exactly what your ad is, but you don't have to you don't have to do all the extra stuff for print advertising, right? You don't have to have a graphic artist create things. You don't have to send your artwork to the newspaper, right? Or a magazine or anything like that. It can be ready to go really quickly. So, in less than a week, I had my first client.
Back in the day when I was doing Yellow Pages, it'd be months before my ad would come out. And then if there was something wrong with it, too bad. If there's something wrong with an internet ad, you can fix it just like that, right?
Yes, and that's a really good point because you definitely don't want to have anything wrong with any of your ads. And, it is easy to get started, as I mentioned before. What I really like about it is the cost. Now, I really want to mention, though, it's not always inexpensive for every location. If you live in an area that is highly competitive and expensive to do business, and there's lots of competition with other hypnotists or other, weight loss or stop smoking programs, depending on what you're looking to advertise for, it can be more expensive. So I've got feedback from some other hypnotists saying that it was unaffordable for them to use Google AdWords. So you're going to have to try it out for your area and see what works for you. However, there is still an opportunity for you to do something, and it's called the long tail of advertising. And that basically just means that you are using a very unique, a very specific search term that is not very common, and so that your ad will appear at the top if you use that term, and it will still drive customers to your site, and it can be affordable. So that's one option if you do live in one of those areas where it's really expensive.
So that'd be like the difference between just saying hypnosis and your town, and where now you're competing against everybody in the town. But if you go like hypnosis for weight loss and go after that keyword, then that's more of a long tail. Is that right?
Yes, except I don't know that hypnosis for weight loss would be, long enough. Let's say you might need to do something even longer, even more specific. But that's what's great about the tools that Google provides, because you can do research on all of these things. There's a great keywords analysis tool that you could use to understand, how many other people have been searching for these keywords in my area. And so not only does Google provide you with the ability to advertise, it gives you access to understanding what are people in my area searching for. Are there people looking for hypnosis for PTSD? Are there people looking for hypnosis for, all of these other things, so you can understand your market better? So that's another really great reason why I like using Google AdWords, because it comes with all of these analytics that you can use to understand your clients and your audience.
Now, I was just here on the internet, and it looks like the Google AdWords, the keyword tool has been replaced with the keyword planner. Are you aware of that?
Oh, yes, the keyword planner. I haven't used it yet. They're making a lot of updates, so I think they can be somewhat similar. But yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Cal. They did rename that.
That's the way of the internet. As soon as you learn how to do something, you kind of got to keep up with it, because things change. And if you notice, if you folks out there that are watching it, you check out anything that we're suggesting you do on the podcast, and you notice there's something's changed, just leave a comment in the comment space below the video, and we'll keep everybody up to date. All right, Erika, go on.
Exactly. And, if you have a question about something too, and want more explanation, I would be happy to answer any questions of things that, because we're not going into too much detail here today, right, Cal? I mean, we're kind of skimming the surface.
Well, today we want to talk about why they should do it, and then maybe we can even tell them how to get signed up, so that next episode we can show them how to really start doing what they need to do to get those clients coming through the door, right?
Right. Yeah, so the reason that I use it is just because it was so easy and inexpensive for me. You can get started right away. It comes with all of the analysis and all of the tools. And then to get started, what you need to do is there's 4 steps that I recommend to get started. So the first step is to create a Google account. So you can do that at google.com/accounts. And I'm going to share something that, a lesson learned for me. Don't use your personal account to do this, okay? So I did that a long time ago, and I wish I wouldn't have, because now I'm going to have to separate everything. I recommend if you don't have Google AdWords yet, and you don't have analytics set up yet, get a fresh new Google account, not your personal account, something for your business, okay, your business name or something like that. So get a new Google account, and then the next thing that you want to do is you want to go to AdWords. That's adwords.google.com. You'll log in there with your new Google account that you just created, okay? And then the next thing is you want to go set up analytics for your website. I really hope that everybody's already doing this. You don't need to use AdWords to benefit from analytics. Analytics tells you so many wonderful things about people that are coming to your website. And Cal, do you use Google Analytics?
Well, actually we do, and Mary Ann, who's our tech person here at the center, she answers all my questions. She looks in there and lets me know what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to understand, you put a new web page out there or something happens, in the media or something, and all of a sudden all these people are coming to your stop smoking web page, and you're like, I wonder what happened. I wonder what's going on. Or, you can figure out all sorts of things that are going on. One thing to check, of course, is to see if there's any errors on your website, right? If you have errors on your website, Google's not as likely to send people to your site, and that impacts your SEO results, your organic search results, okay? All right, so now back to the process there. We had step one, you're creating a Google account, then an AdWords account. The third one, get analytics set up on your website. And then the fourth thing is what you want to do is you want to integrate and link your AdWords account with your analytics account. And so that those two are linked, and that's just going to give you so much better information about how your AdWords are performing, give you the feedback you need in order to make adjustments.
Perfect. Keep going.
Well, that's why I use AdWords, and so I don't know, Cal, why would you want to use AdWords?
Well, now I've used AdWords in the past many years ago, and it was a waste of my money. And so I've focused on, over the years, SEO, search engine optimization, to try to get very good search engine results through organic search. But the problem with organic search, relying on that, is Google will mess with you. They'll come out with these updates to their algorithm. That's the way that they decide who comes out on top. And there's a thing called Panda and a thing called Penguin, which are these updates. And here you are, you've built your whole business around good search results, and then Google says, gosh, we're just going to change how we calculate search results, and bam, you're on page 64, you're in trouble. But if you understand how to use AdWords, then you can always be on page 1 or 2. How's that sound? That's why.
Yeah, that's a great point, Cal, because you're right. I mean, SEO is so important. You always want to be at the top of the organic search results, but you never know when Google is going to modify their algorithm, and they don't share exactly how their algorithm works either. So it's a lot of people scrambling to try and catch up and make sure that their site remains on top. It's really, really important to make sure that your website is top notch before you start. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the pages that you're sending people to with your Google AdWords account, you really want to make sure that page looks really nice, right? Of course, be very professional, no spelling mistakes, no errors, nothing like that on the page, right?
Yeah, and you use the term landing page. So now the landing page, in this case, it just simply means when you run your ad, there's going to be a link, and you click, the potential client clicks on that, and it's where they're going to land. It doesn't necessarily have to be the index page or the home page of your website. For example, if you're doing advertisement for weight loss, and you might send them to a weight loss page on your website. Or you might even have a whole website set up. Now, by saying a whole website, it might just be one page website that just promotes hypnosis for weight loss, or for smoking, or for fear of heights, or whatever you're advertising. You can set up these websites just for that with a one-page website. Or it can be to your more comprehensive website. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right. And, another interesting thing about that is when you're looking at Google Analytics, you want to look at there. It's also called like an entry page. Like, what was your client's first entry into your website? What brought them to your website? And a lot of times it will be from Google AdWords. It will be the landing page that you chose, driving a lot of traffic to your website. And they might start out at, a page on stress or anxiety or something like that, and then move over to a different page or something else, right? So you never know what's going to happen when somebody finally makes it to your website.
That's right. What is our ultimate goal? And you got to, who said it? Was it Gerber, or was it, he said, begin with the end in mind. I think that's from the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People.
That's right. You got to understand, what do you really want your client to do, right? So are you wanting them to call you and set up a session with you? Are you wanting to sell them some product, right? So you need to be thinking about that. And that comes into play when you're talking about, how do you create the ad, right? What does the ad say? Because that's what's going to drive them to click on it. You want to have an actionable item in that ad. Call now, right? Click here, something like that. Call us today. and they click on it, they get taken to your site, and then you want to have something for them to do, right? What is your end goal?
That's right. Make it obvious. I believe the title of the book was, I don't remember the title of the book was. It was something about terrible web design. And one of the things that stuck in my mind from that book was the phrase used over and over again, don't make them think. Don't make them think. If they have to think and figure stuff out, they're just going to hit the back button. You want to make things very simple, very obvious. In your AdWords, you might call today for a free consultation. Hypnosis consultation for stop smoking. And then when they get to the page, it says, here's how to get your free consultation. See if hypnosis is right for you to help you stop smoking. So that continuity of message, that continuity of call to action is much better than just dumping them off at an index page where it says stop smoking, lose weight, blah, 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 all these different things, because now they start having to think and struggle, and they might just hit the back button, and then you've lost your fee that you paid for that click. By the way, about how much are you paying per click right now?
Oh, geez. It depends on what the search term is. So I have a couple different search terms, right? And some of them are more expensive than others, but it ranges from I think $1.50 to a little over $2.
Right. And so, folks, why do we do these things? We do these videos because we care. We want to see the profession grow. We want to see you grow in the profession. And the thing is, when you are helping people, when nothing else has worked, and that's who our population is. They've tried the doctor, the counselor, the self-help book, the guru, whatever it is. And you, last episode was about charging enough money for what you do. And if you're doing, say, $200 a session, and you've got 5 sessions, that's $1,000 to help them fix this lifelong problem, and that's a great value for them. You can certainly pay $1 a click. In fact, you start working the math here, and you find out, gosh, maybe I have to have people click on my ad 50 times before they finally book. Well, that's perfect. Now you know that for every $50 you pay in advertising, you're going to make $950. And this is also going to be important when Erika gets to bidding, because once you have these numbers, you know how much that client is worth to you in the long run, and so you know how much you can bid, and bidding has to do with how well you move up the page too. Erika, you kind of need to wrap it up. We've run long on this one.
All right. Well, that was about all I wanted to say, Cal. I think I had one last question for you, so maybe you can answer this real quick. How much do you recommend new hypnotists spend, as a percentage of their overall budget on marketing on something like this?
Oh, gosh. Well, it has to do with, you don't want to spend more. It's kind of like gambling, and you don't want to spend more than you can afford to lose, because sometimes there's a learning curve, and it's like learning to play poker. That could be a very expensive thing if you're not being tutored and coached, or you're reading about it, because you lose a hand, you lose a hand, you lose a hand, and in the meantime you're hoping you're learning how to win. So I would say that $100 a week would be very reasonable if you are trying to go full time, and maybe more than that, depending on how much you're making. It has to do with if you're in an area where you're able to charge $100 a session as opposed to $200 a session. It's kind of sliding like that. So we don't have to do it anymore, but we used to spend almost $3,000 a month on advertising back when we were in Minnesota. We were doing yellow pages and things like that. And so just for round numbers, if we were doing $30,000 a month in client revenue, then there you go. 3%, be 3,000, about 10%. How's that sound?
Yeah, and you can anticipate to spend more when you're just getting started, because you won't have that referral base, right? So you're going to have to put some money out there. You're going to have to invest in order to get some of your first clients in there, right?
Perfect. All right, wrap it up.
All right, well, I'm Erika Flint. I'm very happy to be here today and tell you about Google AdWords, and I would love to answer any other questions that you have about Google AdWords or doing anything else like this with your hypnosis practice.
Erika, thanks for being with us. I'm so excited about hearing the next one. I think everybody's motivated. They want to go set up their account so that next week when we get the podcast out, they can know exactly what to do to run their first ad. And by the way, before I click off here, we got a class coming up. We've got it in May, as I said before. That's our week of power. It's for people who are already certified. And then for you folks who want to come into the profession, you haven't been certified yet, we have the NGH-approved Banyan Hypnosis Certification Super Course. We've got one starting in July 14th and another one October 13th. I want to see you in class. This is Cal Banyan, signing off.
This recording is the property of Cal Banyan and the Banyan Hypnosis Center for Training and Services, Incorporated. All rights reserved, for private use only, may not be duplicated without permission. For contact information, go to www.hypnosiscenter.com.